Hey guys, Matt here. So, yeah, the stock market has been kind of sucking lately. I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that, I don't know what your portfolio looks like, but chances are it's probably not looking as good as it was a month ago, or 2 months ago, or any time this year. Now, this is not a portfolio update since I just gave one earlier this week, but I want to focus on, since everything's going bad, there are a lot of stocks on sale. And in this video, I want to talk about 3 stocks that I'm buying heavy right now. Now, off the top of for starters, one of those, Hyliion is not one of those stocks. I said this, I think, last video, the video before. Now, if Hyliion was a high conviction stock, being down 31.2%, yeah, I'd be loading up. But I already have 400 shares. I kind of need to wait a month or so to see if Hyliion is going to follow through on some stuff, because lately it's been having a whole thing of, pushing back expectations. So I kind of need to wait and make sure Hyliion is actually going to do what it says it's going to do as far as revenue before I buy any more shares. So for right now, Hyliion is definitely a hold. I'm not buying, I'm not selling. I'm not even looking at the stock. Now, one of the stocks I am looking at overall, and I mentioned this a few videos ago, is FedEx. FedEx right now is overall my top priority, because FedEx right now exemplifies the cross between a great dividend stock and a great growth stock. Check this out. Like with FedEx, we are talking about a company that has been absolutely crushing it as far as revenue year over year. Like, this is a phenomenal company to look at, with very strong growth potential as it continues to expand its business. And the great thing about FedEx is you already know what it does. It transports and delivers stuff. Very simple business model. The income statement is absolutely phenomenal. The balance sheet, it keeps looking better and better year over year, especially, to assets to debt. It's been paying off its debt. Yeah, this is a fantastic looking company. And if you take a look at its statistics, like, the valuation is phenomenal. I said in several videos that, valuations don't matter until they do. And with FedEx, yeah, valuations hella matter. And this is a very, very sexy looking company right now. We're talking a payout ratio of only 14.88%. That is dirt cheap. Now, its dividend yield is only 1.36, but check this out. This year, it raises dividend from 65 cents to 75 cents. That's a massive jump. Now, before that, it's been pretty stale, but, if this continues, if they keep raising their dividends like this, it's going to get really nice really quickly. Now, FedEx has dropped off quite a bit in the past quarter due to, FedEx's entire business is being the supply chain, and as you probably know, the world is experiencing supply chain issues, and everything got a lot more expensive for FedEx as far as operating expenses. So the stock prices dropped dramatically, which is a perfect scenario for me. So that is why FedEx right now is my top priority as far as loading up. FedEx is my top stock as far as loading up overall. However, right now, at this precise moment, this week, there are 2 stocks that sort of have my attention. at&t and Verizon. And we're sort of going to talk about this at the same time. I know they're 2 different companies, but they're pretty much in the same boat right now. You already know what at&t does. You already know what Verizon does. I don't need to explain their business models. Right now, we have at&t and Verizon both approaching their 52-week lows. So as far as the attractiveness, they're looking very, very, very nice. And as far as their valuations go, let's take a look at both of them. Verizon's looking under 10 PE, which is absolutely cheap. And Verizon, at&t, these are not growth stocks. These are purely dividend stocks that I buy for value purposes. So the PE ratio in Verizon is phenomenal. So is their price to sales. Absolutely gorgeous. The same with at&t. Like, if you like any of these companies, right now is probably the best time to buy. And if they drop more, well, then at that point, it's still the best time to buy. These companies, right now, these companies have my attention. And despite the stock price and all that stuff, these companies are still very, very strong financial performers. And a lot of people seem to forget that. You can see at&t's revenues spike over the years, maybe with a drop off in 2020, but that's due to the pandemic and whatnot. The same with Verizon. The revenue has been spiking up year over year, with the exception of the pandemic year. These companies are very, very strong financial performers. There's no getting around that. And focusing on at&t for a bit, at&t recently won recognition as the nation's best 5G network and the nation's best wireless network overall. Now, I'm invested in both AT&T and Verizon at the same time. The first reason is because I genuinely think both of them are great companies. Like, I really like AT&T. I really like AT&T historically. And I've been a Verizon customer for the past 10 years. I know this is anecdotal, but I haven't had any major problems with Verizon since I became their customer. However, the other reason is because AT&T is kind of a pain in the ass, and I'm kind of hedging my bets here. AT&T stock is falling over the past 5 years like 35%. Like, if you've owned AT&T since like 2016, I can see why you're mad right now. Like, AT&T is kind of a pain in the ass. It got involved in some very, we'll say, risky acquisitions that it's trying to get itself out of. The biggest bit of, we'll call it negative news for AT&T is that it recently announced that it's spinning off its Warner Media, which is going to conclude at the end of 2022. At the end of that, it's gonna be slashing its dividend, and it's lost a lot of goodwill after that. However, I think AT&T is, shareholders of AT&T will still own the new company that Warner Media is going to become, and two, AT&T, after it's done splitting off with Warner Media, it's going to become much more agile of a company, and it can focus strictly on 5G, wireless, and internet. The same with Verizon. So I still think AT&T is going to become a major powerhouse. Well, it already is a powerhouse. I still think AT&T is going to dominate, especially after 2022. But I'm still going to hold on to Verizon just in case things don't go as planned. I can always shift from one to the other. So in short, Verizon just doesn't have the baggage that AT&T does. So I'm using them as a hedge. But anyways, take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.